Bosman, and today I'm going to talk about what is your value in business. Before we start, I just wanted to talk about my interests, because that shapes the talk and it also underpins the theory. Essentially, I'm very interested in systems theory and complex adaptive systems. Essentially, everything that I do, I always believe that the human being should be placed in the center, whether it's the culture, whether it's systems that you're designing, or even in business. Okay. So, today I'm going to talk about, well, deep questions. I'm sorry it's this early in the morning. This is normally used in management theory. You start off by saying, well, why are you here? Why should you care about your value in business? And how is business value measured? And what should you do to add value? Now, these are questions that most software developers don't think of until much later on in their lives. But Simon Sinek, and he's very popular in terms of management theory, starts with this. Start with why. Why are you in the company that you are in? When I was preparing this talk, I wanted to talk about the three brains. And I use the three brains because these days, in neuroscience, it has been found that there are connections between the head, heart, and the gut. You often talk about how you feel. And that's basically, we also talk about your mind. And in my career, I have encountered many software developers who seem to think that the world is only based on logic. I've also encountered software developers who are all feelings. So this is about taking a more integrated approach. We talk about the gut because it's your base identity. It's your sense of self. Okay? And it gives you the energy to act. The heart. Heart is all about connection. It's about feeling. And if you're in Agile, when software development these days, it's all about soft systems. How do your users feel? How do you interact with your team? These are important issues. The mind, I think that's quite self-explanatory. So let's start with why did I choose this topic? For me, what we're encountering is a threat to survival in the market. Right now, economic times are tough. Customers are driving for the lowest price. But there's a skill shortage, so you can ask for the highest salary. Okay? So currently in software development, salaries are our biggest costs. They always were, but now it's ridiculous. We also talk about the frustration that I feel. There's a perception that software developers are just coders. And we all get very frustrated because software developers are generally the most intelligent people in the room. But why is there this perception that you're just coders? I'm an engineer by training, and I can tell you that it's very easy being an engineer. It's not that easy being a software developer. And I've also observed the gap between business, value, and the people-first practices and craftsmanship. What is craftsmanship? It's this black art. So today's talk, I want to talk about the theories that underpin these soft skills. And how do you incorporate knowledge work practices into software practices and still be able to see the business value? Okay, so why should you care about business value? You're getting paid a great salary, okay? So why does it matter? There will come a point in your career when it matters. It matters because it gives you a voice. This is why most software developers become team leaders. It unlocks opportunities for growth, okay? And it also gives you filters, so you can understand what is value. Value is the language of business. And my team loves this quote because I always say, without it, you rise to your highest level of incompetence. And that is true. Most companies take good software developers and promote them into management. They're generally useless at management, so they never go anywhere else. They never influence anything. They never have a voice. So the tools. Start thinking of yourself as a business. And this sounds very glib. Okay? Well, what does it mean? If we're talking about the intersection between your head, your gut, and your heart, how do you apply it? We talk about the 3 C's: clarity, conviction, and connection. These 3 aspects are absolutely critical in business and for software development teams to perform. And not just perform well. So I've given you a list of questions, and I'll make my slide decks available later on. But it's teaching you how to reflect. Reflection is an art. It's a skill. Okay? But it enables you to learn and to become better. For craftsmanship and self-mastery, this is absolutely critical. Conviction. Do you really believe you're worth more than you're being paid? Why? In my experience, most software developers say this, but there's no conviction. Why is there no conviction? Because you can't base it on any fact. There's no model. There's no theory. It's just your frustration. Well, this guy is worse than me, so I'm better. And today I hope to address some of those. So what is business value? We all talk about it. Value, meaningful work, value for the customer. What is it? There are many, many terms and many indicators and metrics depending on the corporate that you work in. Customer value, partner value, channel value, shareholder value. In fact, most businesses were taken to task by the purpose of business is to basically increase shareholder value. And it's frowned upon. So, what is the purpose of business? And what is value? And how is it measured? The interesting thing is, we keep talking about value. And we do performance appraisals based on value. But how is value reflected in our books? By money. So this is very interesting. You build all the IP, but it's a black art. How do you reflect your IP in the books? It's not cut and dry. And at the end of the day, when somebody's buying your business, they look at the number. So business value, net asset value. Well, assets are inert. Why are you not an asset? Because you can't do anything with an asset. You need people to unlock that value. You need people to use your assets. Okay? So that is why I'm saying we first spoke about human capital. I said, that's great. I run a software dev company. I have a great team. How do I reflect this on my balance sheet? Well, you can't. Okay, so you spent all these years building these skills, competing with the market, building culture, and yet there's no numerical value for it. Okay? So how is business predominantly valued? We talk about cash, risk, and time. We all do agile. We all love agile. That's wonderful. Well, your decision makers, how do they make their decisions? It's based on the iron triangle. Scope, resources, schedule. Qualities at the risk. So you can espouse about agile practices, why it's great. At the end of the day, the gatekeeper of the resources, their mindset is stuck in this past in terms of how we measure business. So it doesn't help. So understanding your business value. Price versus value. How do employers base your new salary? On your last paycheck. So you take that, you're at 10%. Okay? Sometimes you don't. But in this market, we generally do. What I'm saying is, if you are at an interview, and if you tell me that's rubbish, I'll listen. But then you need to justify it. You need to tell me why it's based on value. What is that value? And don't tell me I mentor teams. What's the metric? What's the link? Where did you take the team to? How did it impact on business? How did it impact on the bottom line? Okay, relative value. So there are cases where you are absolutely exceptional. You will join a company and there will be somebody that you think is not that exceptional, but they will be earning much more. Why is that? Because that person is probably contributing directly to the value stream. And you are a supporting function. Okay? So most businesses are underpinned by great software. Software runs businesses. But software development is still regarded as a supporting function. Context and explanations. I love this book, and I'd recommend most of you read it. It's called The Nomadic Developer, and they talk about Bozo Consulting. Well, basically patterns for different consulting companies. Bozo Consulting is a consulting company you're all familiar with. They sell vaporware. And your job is to basically deliver software against the odds. And it starts off where you can meet that gap. But then it grows, and as you stay longer at the company, the gap becomes wider. What does Bozo Consulting value? Bozo Consulting values sales. If you're a software developer and you're at a customer and you bring in a lead, that is valued. If you are a software developer and you work your butt off, you haven't seen your wife, you haven't seen your children, the dog even hates you, basically, that's not valued. It is expected. Okay? So value is not this number that we think. It's not just based on logic. It's based on perception. And you are not an island. You work within a context. Your context is the company that you have chosen. What do they value? Okay. Have conversations with the people. And you'll pick up things that they value. Okay? Bums on seats model. So, the only way to make money in software is to have a great product. Or, if you're a services company, to land great contracts and sell your people as resources. Okay? All the big consulting companies have used this model. And they've grown. They've created great shareholder value. And then they've retrenched. That's the model. The bums and seats model. So if you are working in that company, you are a resource. Your value is your ability to work on site with minimal amount of effort and input from your company. Don't ask questions, basically. Bill. And it's the number of hours that you bill that matters. So context and expectations. So software development is a social system. Okay? So value is perceived. Everybody in your company, in your group, has a sense of your worth. Okay? And they are experiencing your value through their reality. Okay? So it's very important that you remember this. This is why they talk about cohesion, alignment in companies. I'm not going to go through these models because I don't have time and my team tells me I talk too long. So I'm going to try and finish under 25 minutes. Okay, this is called a structure agency model and it's very, very interesting. So please come talk to me because I'd love to explain it to you. But essentially, this explains why practices in software are so important. It explains how you embed values. It explains how you can change culture. But it also explains why you as a sole voice in an alien company has no leverage. You just alienate people. Okay? So how will business value be measured in the future? We talk about sustainability, and here we're mainly concerned about the environment. If you are resources, like everyone says, then we should be concerned about the sustainability of the resources. Let's take South Africa. How many companies truly consider the sustainability of the software development workforce? Not many. This is meant to be knowledge work. I can tell you there are decreasing increasing numbers of people who choose software development. Rightly so. Generally, you're badly paid, the hourly is not great. But unless businesses seriously consider this and make this part of their strategy, make this part of their balance sheets in terms of resources, there will not be any change. You will just be a resource. Understanding your business value. How many of you truly understand how employers assess you? Really? Great. So, generally, this is what we do in Chillisoft. Your current value to company is based on consistency of delivery. Now, I don't mean deliver slowly, consistently. I mean deliver well. You don't have to be a rock star developer, but consistency of delivery enables us to plan our cash flow, okay, let alone delivery to the customer. So if we're just looking at purely financial resources, software quality, that's self-explanatory why we look at it. Problem-solving skills, this is absolutely critical. The problems that you are encountering are no longer data capture problems. They're no longer automation. They require you to truly understand. And this is where you borrow from other philosophies, the 5 whys, for example. Because you really need to understand, what problem are you solving? Often, it's not software that's needed. Okay? It's a people issue. It's politics. Then that is where I need you to feed back to me. Because I know that when we deliver the software, it will never be accepted. Okay? Understanding the business domain, soft skills and attitude, and the ability to work in a team. Okay? So these are things that's common. They're quite popular. So, what do you do to increase business value? And you can form your own equation. But the variables are current value. Okay? That percentage of current value is based on the consulting company or the company that you work in. So, for Bozo Consulting or Bums on Seat, current value is the largest part of this equation. Okay? A percentage of your future potential. And your future potential is raised by a factor that is based on your net emotional investment. Okay? And I'll come to that. Okay, so why future potential? Most people talk about the complexity of business. They talk about adaptive systems. They talk about businesses being organisms. You've all heard self-organizing teams. Well, where does it come from? It comes from complex adaptive systems. We are now living in this era. Okay? Complex adaptive systems needs a different type of operations. Complex adaptive operations. And these are the factors that characterize complex adaptive operations. Okay. So knowing how to apply levers to amplify your business value. Okay? Those factors that I spoke about, okay, I've interpreted those factors to come up with these sets of characteristics and traits that you all are familiar with. And you're familiar with it because if you've read anything about knowledge work, okay, these are the common terms. Autonomy, mastery, continual learning. Okay? So understand the why. What is your intrinsic motivation? That is why I started off with that slide. And if you understand the why, straight away, you understand whether you can adapt, whether your values can be aligned to your company or not. If it's not, then don't resign tomorrow. First, look around, shop around, but find a company where it's not so much work. Okay? Authenticity. What on earth does this mean? Now you have authentic value, pretty much authentic talking, authentic conversations. In my books, it's very simple. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Okay? Don't showboat. Why is this important? It's important because it builds trust. Trust is the essential ingredient that's required for open communication, conversations, transparency, all those soft skills that motivates high-performance teams is underpinned by trust. And software developers Trust is built by consistency. Okay? If you know what to expect, even if you know that this person is going to be difficult, that's fine. Because you expect that. That is how you build trust. People need to trust in your skills. They need to trust in your ability to do what you said you would do. Okay? Manage your internal environment. We talk a lot about external environments. Your internal environment is what gives you intrinsic motivation. It frames how you communicate. If you think about things logically, you do things perfectly. You have a bad day, and you shout at your team lead. You apologize for it later. And it depends on the level of trust that exists in the team as to whether they will forgive you or not. Okay. Your internal mood is critical for your consistent delivery. You can't wait for when the mood strikes you. Okay. This is where the craftsmanship story falls down in our books. You need to learn to work consistently. Learn deliberately or deliberate practice. Build habits. Why? Because you're dealing with a lot of complexity. If you build your habits, okay, they automatically kick in. It's less thinking. It's an ingrained pattern. You're actually building habits, and if you build habits within a team, you're shaping behavior. You're giving people rules as to how to behave. You're building a mini society. Think about it like that. Okay? So if you value open communication, what practices have you embraced to support that? Learn to communicate effectively. When we talk about communication, people think email, making sure that your butt's covered, nothing can be tracked back to you, or you've got your story straight. That's not the type of communication I'm talking about. I'm talking about multiple perspectives. You need to understand that there are a lot more stakeholders in business. You also need to understand their social context. Everyone is hearing what you have to say through a filter. Okay? So your message, no matter how clear you articulate it, is going to be interpreted. And the result may not be what you expected. This also gives you the ability to learn. Okay? So, scenarios for actions. None of us have a clue anymore about the future. Those 5-year plans, really? They just shape your thinking. Okay? You have to adapt. You have to scan your environment as to what's coming. Okay? Whether it's technology, government, legislation, the environment, okay? What's happening in your business. So you need those multiple perspectives, and you need the scenarios for actions. What if possibilities? And when you're building systems, this is some of the thinkings that you take through with you. Manage your external environment and respond early to signals. So the software dev community in some areas of the country is really strong. And most people attend these community events to learn and to network. And companies spend a lot of money because it's a cool factor. Yes, that is a factor. But the reason why you should be attending those events is because you are actually doing market research for your company. People talk about burning issues. They talk about what's bugging them. They talk about the technology they would like to adopt. Okay? For a small company, how do you do market research? There's no Gartner. You can't afford it. Okay? By the time you spec a research study, the market shifted. So how do you do research? You empower your team leads to do the scanning for you. Okay? And they need to bring that information back and communicate it. And that's your multiple perspectives. That's your what-if scenarios. So that is why companies need to support community events. It's not just about branding. It's not just about marketing. It's not just about rewarding your guys. There's good business sense. Okay? The other one we talk about, respond early to signals. How do you do that? So, embedded practices. Why do we always talk about craftsmanship, apprenticeship, embedded practices? Because you're shaping behavior and you're picking up signals. Okay? Often, a seasoned manager can walk into an open plan office and tell when something's wrong. No one has to talk to that person. Okay? You pick it up. And this is the subtle signals that you pick up on a daily basis. But our business world and and the software development world does not cater for a feeling. But how do you know when you've written great code? You have a feeling. How do you know when you've written really bad code? Everybody tells you so. And you have a feeling. But generally, okay, you need to consider all aspects of you as a human being. And businesses need to be aligned. So in summary, what makes knowledge workers productive? And this is a popular slide. It's been around for many years. That's why mastery took off. Okay? The shared vision and purpose. Okay? How do you create that? Nobody tells you. A CEO is standing there selling you his or her dream. Goes a little bit towards creating a shared purpose. But if there's no alignment, if there's no resonation in you, okay, resonance, I can see my team correcting me. If there's no resonance in you, there is no shared purpose. Okay? So, today's talk was giving you a bit of insight into why those soft skills matter. Okay, and what it's based on. And business value. When you go into an interview, or wait for your next increase, don't only think about now. Think about the future. But you need to be able to justify that sustainability into practices that are solid. So the value generated. Value is relative. Okay? Choose your company wisely. Why do I say that? Because your company is your enabling tool. Yes, you go out, you read, you spend late nights, you do a lot of work on your own. But the company, for 8 hours or more of the day, you are at work. Your mindset, your behavior is shaped by those companies' practices. So you need to choose a company that shares your beliefs. There needs to be some overlap. And you also need to understand, when we talk about value, don't just tell me customer value. Well, how do I measure that? If you tell me, this system has resulted in this recurring work, the revenue grew from 100,000, okay, to 1 million. That quantifies it in my mind. Okay? So, resources allocated. Every company allocates you resources to larger or lesser degrees, admitted. But this model is basically talking about the scenario of what happens in a company. You start work. People give you the benefit of the doubt. They allocate resources to you. Those resources are measured. Time, money, okay, all has a quantifiable book value. You generate value. Okay? Value is perceived by your team, but it's also measured. If you have done well, you will then get more resources. And that model continues. This archetype is very simple. It's called success of the successful. You've often met people, and you always look at them and you think, geez, that guy always lands like in a really good place. You know, people look after him. Well, why? Okay? This is the archetype that underpins that thinking. First impressions count. So think carefully about the value that you create. So this is a bit of marketing for us. Okay, so the biggest issue that I have is the discrepancy between what you say and what you do. I started a software development company because I wanted to develop a company that's different. And I have found that it's very difficult. It's very difficult because the tools for a business haven't changed, such as the metrics, the financials, performance measures. And Agile is great, but it doesn't tell me anything tangible. So, to address this, I've realized that the trick to changing culture, the trick to changing metrics and performance and creating a shared mindset is actually based on practices. So the school that talks about craftsmanship is right. The apprenticeship model works. So Chillisoft will be developing such a school, but it's also bridging the gap between business and software developers. So we'll be talking about things like communication, software development skills, strategy, and uncertainty. And that's it. And I've made it within 25 minutes, team. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening. Well, we'll start off with the school in Durban. There's two facets to it. The one is the training side and the other is the apprenticeship side. The training side will be also run workshops and courses, and that will be internationally as well as nationally. But the whole idea is an education process. In order for us to be seen as not coders, we need to bridge that gap.